Hi guys, welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we've got a great little hover effect for you today. Got two images there. The one on the right's got a bit of writing on it. If I hover over it, you're going to have a little logo appear right there. And that's a nice little eye-catching thing to have on your site. Really easy to do. We've got to do a little bit of coding for this today, but don't let that put you off. Any code I write, I'll put down below the video. And you're welcome to copy it, paste it, use it as you need. Okay, well let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. Okay, once loaded, let's go down to where we want to work. I've got a section here, the blue tab. Inside the section, I've got a row with two columns, the green tab, column 1, column 2. I'm just using a blurb module to do this today. Let's get rid of that and we'll start from scratch. Okay, I'm going to hit the little dark button to add a new module. Divi comes as standard with all these modules. Like I say, I'm going to use just a little blurb module to do ours today. There it is. And it gives you the option to add an image or an icon. I'm actually going to use an image for mine today so I can use my logo. I'm not going to put a title or any content in. Obviously you're going to have your own title and content to put on your site. But obviously there's where your title goes. Here's where your content goes. This is a regular text edit box. You can align, bold, italicize, add media if you want to, and create headings. Like I say, for expediency, I'm just going to leave mine exactly like it is. For the image and icon today, I'm going to use my little logo that I want to have faded in. And this will work for any image, but it works particularly well with logos for this sort of thing. Or you could do this with the icon as well if you just wanted to use icons. So there's my little logo. As you can see, it's up there. If I roll down a bit more, if you want to link this, you can link your title and your whole module separately if you want to. Just put your little links in here. Always best practice if you're linking to your own site, leave it in the same window. If you're linking off-site to somebody else's site, open it in a new tab so that your site will stay open. Okay, background. Well, I'm going to put a little image in the background here. So I'm going to click on background. As with all things Divi, we've got some great background options here. We've got color, gradient, image, video, background pattern or background mask. I'm going to put a color in, but I'm also going to put an image in as well. The reason I'm doing this, I'm going to blend the two so we can read our writing a bit better over the top. So I've put a blue color in. I'm now going to go to image, choose an image. I think I'll use the same one as I used before. That seemed to work quite well. There it is right there, and you might be thinking, well, why on earth did you put the color in? I can't see it. Well, that's right, but if we're on the image right here, we just roll down a little bit, we can merge that color with our image, background image blend. And there's all kinds of options here, and you can get some wonderful effects going, things like luminosity and saturation. But for me today, I'm actually going to use multiply, so it just multiplies the blue with the actual image. Great. Well, the logo is a bit too big. The writing, I can't read it, and I want it to be centered. And I want to make this similar sort of size to our image next door. So let's go over to our design tab. Image and icon. I'm not going to put a background color in there. I'm going to make my image icon width, say about 75%. You can slide, you can type in the value. You can also increment up and down with the little arrows here if you want to. I want it to be in the middle. No point putting any rounded corners as it's just my logo. And I don't want any borders or anything like that. Great, well let's roll on down now to our text. I'm going to leave the logo just like that. And I'm going to align my text in the middle. And you probably can't see it very well still, so I'm going to make it light in color. Obviously you can color this and add any fonts you want in the body text down below. Here's the title text. Like I said, I'm going to leave that just as it is. Here's the body text. If you wanted to, you could choose a different font. Divi comes with a crazy amount of fonts. It really does. I've been using it for years and still not gone through them all. If you want to audition one, just simply hover over it. It'll give you an example of that font. But I'm going to use the default for mine today. Okay. What I want to do now is sort of shape it up more the size that I want it. Like I said, I kind of want it to be a similar size to our image next door. So I'm going to do that with a bit of spacing down below. Here we are, still on the design tab, down to spacing. Let's give it, say, 40 pixels top and bottom. Just put in the 40, it'll put in the pics. Hit the chain, it'll do the opposite for you. That's pretty much there. I might want to pull that text in a bit from the sides. Let's try 30 pics each side. Again, just put in the 30, hit the chain, it'll do the other side for you. Yeah, I might up that to 50. And I might up this to 40. That's about right for me. It's similar. It's not quite exactly, but it's close enough for me. Okay, so we've got our little bit of text here. We've got our image in the background, and we've got the logo on the top there. I don't want to see this logo initially. I only want to see it when they sort of hover anywhere over this little blurb module here. This is where our little bit of coding comes in. And like I say, don't let it put you off, because I'll put this code down below for anybody that wants to just copy and paste. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my advanced. I'm going to go down to custom CSS. If we roll down, we've got before, main element, after, blurb image. Now the blurb image is my little logo there. And we've also got blurb title and blurb content below. I'm going to be working with the blurb image, and I'm going to do something with the blurb title in a minute. So the blurb image, initially I don't want to see it at all. So I'm going to say opacity. Opacity is see-throughness or transparency if you want. And it goes from 0, if I put a 0 in there, you can see it's disappeared, or rather you can't see because it's disappeared. If I put a 1 in there, it'll come back. And you can increment from 0 to 1 by 0.1, 0.2, etc. to do different levels of transparency. Okay. Then when we hover over it, I want to bring it back. Now this is common to all Divi modules. If you hover over the dark writing there, you'll see some little icons appear. Go to the thing that you want to affect, our blurb image in this case. If there's a little arrow there, we've got one. We can click on it and set a desktop state when the mouse is not on it, and a hover state when the mouse is on it. So when they hover their mouse on it, I want to bring it back. So I'm going to say opacity, colon, 1, semicolon. And as you can see, that's brought it back. Now the time it takes to do this by default with Divi is about 300 milliseconds, which is pretty quick. I like to slow mine down for a bit of drama, so I'm going to say transition duration, and it's actually prompted us down here, so I'm going to click on that. I need to put a colon on the end. I'm going to say maybe 1.2 seconds, which is pretty slow. Make yours whatever you want, but that's what I'm going to use for mine today. So it's going to take 1.2 seconds to go from this to this, so it's going to kind of fade in just like that. Fantastic. Well, that's going to work. If I leave it like this, this will actually work. But the trouble with leaving it like this is it's only going to show that logo if I hover over the top. I'll show you quickly. Let's save this. We'll save our page changes. Okay, well, let's exit the visual builder. And as you can see, our logo is not appearing there. If I hover over, it is going to appear. But if I hover over down here, it's not going to appear. I want it to appear wherever they hover over here. So like I say, at the moment, it's appearing if we actually hover over the image. So to make this actually work with anywhere that they hover over it, I'm going to add, say, 200 pixels padding on the bottom of here. That way it'll give it a handle. It's going to push our title and content down, but then I can pull our title and content back up to make it work again. And I want to make sure that we're triggering this one, so I'm going to give it what they call a Z index, and I'll explain that as I'm doing it. So let's go back in and get this the way we want it. Great, well, let's go back in there. We'll go back to our advanced and down to the custom CSS, back to where we were working. Here's our blurb image on desktop. So I want to say, I'm going to give it padding on the bottom of, say, 200 pixels. Let's do that. As you can see, that's pushed this all down here, which is fine, but I don't want it to be as tall as this. So I'm actually going to go to the title and give it negative 200 pixels with a bit of margin, so that our padding will still go down here, but our writing will be on top of it. So when we hover over the writing, it's going to trigger our little logo there. So before I do that, I want to make sure that our Z indexes are correct. I mentioned this before. What a Z index is, if you've got two elements like a title and a body, you give one the Z index of 1 and the other one the Z index of 2. The one with the higher number, Z index of 2, will always appear on top of the one with the lower. So I need to make sure that my logo here has got a higher number than our title and our text. Otherwise, what's going to happen is I'll roll over it and it won't actually trigger, because it'll just be getting this here instead of triggering our logo. So let's give this a Z index. Let's say 20 for this. And it doesn't matter, just as long as they're both higher and lower numbers. I'm actually going to copy that. Now, if I go down to our blurb title down here, I'm going to give it some negative margin on top. I'm going to say margin, top, and I'll give it a negative value so it goes back to being the size that we want it. So I'm going to say negative 200 pixels. And as you can see, it's jumped back up to where we were. That's great. And we've now got something to trigger our logo by. But I need to fix the Z index of this and make sure it's lower than 20, which is what we put in the other one. So if I paste that in there that I just copied, the Z index, let's take that down to 10. That way we're ensured that our logo is on top of our title text, and we should be able to trigger it. Okay, well, we've got everything correct there. We've got everything correct there. Let's just put in a transition duration. Actually, I should have put this actually in the desktop mode rather than the hover mode. So I'm going to cut that, Control X, go back into the desktop mode, and I'll put it in there. It just works better if you put it in the desktop mode. And don't forget, I'll put all this down below for anybody that wants to copy and paste. Great, well, if we've done everything correctly now, this should work for us. Let's save our changes here. Save our page changes. Save draft or publish if you're ready. Let's exit the Visual Builder. There's our little image there now. Let's go on over. Now when I hover over, you see I'm hovering down here, our little logo is going to appear. And anywhere I hover over it, it's going to appear. It's going to take 1.2 seconds to roll in. But pretty much anywhere over that blurb that I put it, it's going to work, because we've added that little bit of padding on the bottom to trigger it with. So there you go, guys. There's how to have an image with a bit of text and have your little logo roll in over the top. And of course you can use this with anything. You can do it with an icon too. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.